The morning sun hadn't even risen yet, but Maya was already awake. Not because she wanted to be. The couch she'd been sleeping on for the past 8 months had a broken spring that dug into her back no matter how she positioned herself. She grabbed her backpack, careful not to wake her friend Rachel, who'd been kind enough to let her crash here, and slipped out the door. The streets were quiet at this hour. Maya liked it that way. Fewer people meant fewer judgmental stares when she set up her makeshift art station on the sidewalk. She walked 12 blocks to her usual spot, right outside a busy coffee shop where the foot traffic would pick up around 7 in the morning. Her stomach growled. She'd skipped dinner last night. Again. Maya pulled out her collection of chalk pieces from her backpack. Some were barely 2 inches long now, worn down to stubs. She couldn't afford to buy new ones, not when she still owed Rachel money for groceries. But these would have to do. They always did. She started drawing as the sky slowly turned from dark purple to soft pink. Today, she decided to recreate one of her favorite paintings, something colorful that might catch people's eyes. Her hands moved across the concrete, years of practice guiding every stroke. Blue swirls mixed with yellow stars. The concrete wasn't a canvas, but it was all she had. 2 years ago, everything had been different. Maya had been a second-year student at the Art Institute, living her dream. She'd earned a partial scholarship and worked 2 part-time jobs to cover the rest. Life was exhausting but full of hope. Then her mom got sick, really sick. The medical bills came fast and heavy. Maya's part-time job money wasn't enough anymore. She took a semester off, then another. Her scholarship vanished. She told herself it was temporary, that she'd go back once her mom recovered, but her mom never did recover. 6 months ago, Maya had buried the only family she had left, and with her went any chance of returning to school. Now here she was, 24 years old, living on someone else's couch and drawing on sidewalks for spare change. The city workers had warned her twice already. Street vending without a permit, they called it. Maya tried explaining that she wasn't selling anything, just accepting tips for her art. They didn't care. One more warning and they'd fine her. She didn't have money for fines. She barely had money for food. By 7:30, the sidewalk traffic picked up. Business people in sharp suits rushed past, eyes glued to their phones. A few tourists stopped to take photos of her work, careful to get the perfect angle for social media. Most walked away without leaving anything in her cup. Maya had learned not to expect much. Some days she made $30. Good days, maybe 50. Bad days, less than 10. "That's pretty," a young woman said, pausing for a moment. "Thank you," Maya replied, looking up with a smile. The woman snapped a quick photo and kept walking. No tip. Maya's smile faded. She went back to her drawing, adding more details to make it pop. Maybe if it was good enough, someone would feel generous today. Around noon, the coffee shop manager came out. His name was Tony, and he'd been mostly okay about Maya setting up nearby. But today he looked uncomfortable. "Hey, listen," Tony said, scratching his head. "My boss is coming by later for an inspection. Could you maybe move down the block? Just for today?" Maya felt her chest tighten. This spot was the best one she'd found. Good lighting, heavy foot traffic, close to the train station. Moving meant fewer people would see her work, which meant less money. "Please," Tony added. "I could lose my job if he sees you here and thinks I'm allowing it." What could she say? Tony had his own problems. Maya packed up her things and moved 4 blocks down, to a spot with less shade and fewer people walking by. She started over, drawing a new picture on a fresh patch of concrete. Her hands ached. Her back hurt from sleeping on that broken couch. But she kept going because stopping meant giving up, and she wasn't ready to do that yet. By 3 in the afternoon, she'd made $18. On her old spot, she'd usually have 40 by now. Maya felt the frustration building in her throat, that tight feeling that came right before tears. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of strangers. A group of teenagers walked by, laughing loudly. One of them accidentally kicked her cup, sending her coins scattering across the sidewalk. They didn't even notice. Maya scrambled to collect the money before it rolled into the street drain. She managed to save most of it, but 2 quarters disappeared down the grate. 50 cents might not sound like much, but to Maya, it was half a meal. The sun beat down harder now, and Maya didn't have any water left. The free refill from the coffee shop was 4 blocks away, but she couldn't leave her spot. Someone might take it, or worse, someone might step on her drawing before it was finished. She kept working, ignoring her thirst and hunger. The picture was coming together nicely. Maybe someone would appreciate it. Maybe today would turn around. By 5 o'clock, dark clouds rolled in. Maya's heart sank. Rain meant disaster. Not only would it wash away her entire day's work, but it also meant she couldn't draw tomorrow either. Wet sidewalks took forever to dry in the summer humidity. She worked faster, hoping to finish before the first drops fell. A few more people stopped to watch, impressed by her speed and skill. One man, wearing an expensive watch, dropped a $5 bill in her cup. Maya wanted to thank him properly, but he was already gone, disappeared into the evening crowd. The first raindrop hit her cheek, then another. Within seconds, it was pouring. Maya watched helplessly as her colorful creation began to blur and run, streams of chalk-colored water flowing toward the gutter. Hours of work, gone in minutes. She gathered her backpack and ran for cover under a nearby awning, completely soaked. Her remaining chalk pieces were wet now, probably ruined. Her clothes clung to her skin. She counted the money in her cup. $23 for an entire day's work. Maya stood there watching the rain, wondering how much longer she could keep doing this. How much longer before she'd have to give up on art altogether and find some regular job that would crush whatever was left of her spirit. But even as the thought crossed her mind, she knew she couldn't. Art was the only thing she had left of herself, the only thing that still felt real. Tomorrow she'd wake up and do it all over again. Because that's what you did when you had no other choice. You kept going, even when everything felt impossible. You kept creating, even when the world kept washing it all away. The Tuesday heat was unbearable. Maya had been working on the same drawing for 3 hours, and sweat kept dripping onto the concrete, smudging her chalk lines. She wiped her forehead with the back of her hand, leaving a streak of blue across her skin. At least today she was back at her regular spot. Tony had given her the okay after his boss's inspection passed. She was recreating Starry Night, one of those paintings everyone recognized. People liked familiar things. They stopped more often when they knew what they were looking at. Maya had drawn it dozens of times before, but each version came out a little different. Today's had more purple in the sky, deeper shadows in the village below. The lunch crowd was thinning out when she heard a small voice above her. "Daddy, look, it's the swirly star painting." Maya glanced up to see a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, tugging on her father's sleeve. The girl had her hair in 2 braids and wore a bright yellow dress with butterflies on it. Her eyes were wide with excitement. The father looked down at his watch, then at his daughter, then at the drawing. He was dressed in a nice suit, the kind that probably cost more than Maya made in 3 months. His expression said he was clearly in a hurry. "That's very nice, Lily, but we need to go. I have a meeting in 15 minutes. "Just for a second, please?" The girl clasped her hands together. "Please, please, please." The man sighed, but his face softened. 5 minutes. That's it. The little girl dropped to her knees right next to Maya, careful not to touch the drawing. "How do you make the stars look like they're spinning?" she asked. Maya couldn't help but smile. Most adults barely looked at her, but kids always ask the best questions. "See how I use curved lines instead of straight ones? That's what makes them look like they're moving." "Wow." Lily leaned in closer. "Do you do this every day?" "Pretty much," Maya said, adding another swirl to the sky. "Weather permitting." "What does that mean?" "It means except when it rains," the father explained, still standing, still checking his watch. "What happens when it rains?" Lily asked. Maya gestured at the concrete. "All of this washes away. Gone." Lily's face fell. "That's so sad. You worked so hard on it. That's okay, Maya said, though it never really felt okay. I get to make something new the next day. The girl thought about this for a moment. I wish I could draw like you. We do art at school, but mine never looks like real things. I bet your drawings are great, Maya said. And you know what? Every artist starts somewhere. I used to draw terrible stick figures when I was your age. Really? Lily's eyes lit up. Really. It just takes practice. Lots and lots of practice. The father finally crouched down next to his daughter, and Maya noticed him really looking at the drawing for the first time. His expression changed from impatient to something else. Surprised, maybe, or impressed. This is remarkable, he said quietly. The technique, the color blending on concrete, that's not easy. Maya felt her cheeks flush. Compliments from adults were rare. Thank you. Did you study art? He asked. There it was. The question Maya dreaded. I was in art school for a while. Things didn't work out. She hoped he wouldn't push further. Most people didn't. They heard the vague answer and moved on, not wanting to pry into whatever tragedy lay beneath. But this man kept looking at her, and she could see him noticing things. Her worn shoes, the patches on her backpack, the coffee cup with only a few dollar bills inside. Daddy, can we give her some money? Lily whispered, though not quietly enough. Lily, that's not polite to say out loud, he said gently. But you always say we should help people who are working hard. The man pulled out his wallet and took out a $20 bill. He placed it in Maya's cup carefully, like he was trying not to make a big deal of it. Your work is beautiful, he said. Thank you for taking the time to talk to Lily. Thank you, Maya said, and she meant it. $20 would buy chalk and food for tomorrow. And Lily, keep practicing your art. Don't let anyone tell you you're not good enough. The girl beamed. I won't. They left, the father's hand on his daughter's shoulder, and Maya went back to her drawing. But something felt different. The way that man had looked at her work, really looked at it, not just glanced while walking past, and the little girl's pure enthusiasm. It reminded Maya why she kept doing this even on the hardest days. The next day, around the same time, they came back. Maya was working on a different piece, a sunset over the ocean, when she heard Lily's voice. It's her, Daddy. It's the art lady. The father looked almost embarrassed. I'm sorry. I hope we're not bothering you. Lily insisted we walk this way home. It's no bother, Maya said, and she meant it. Lily sat down again, watching Maya work with intense focus. Can you teach me how to do that blending thing? Maya showed her how to layer colors, how to use your fingers to smooth the chalk. The father watched too, no longer checking his watch. He asked questions about her process, about where she'd learned her technique. Maya found herself talking more than she usually did, telling them about her time at the Art Institute, carefully avoiding the painful parts. When they left that day, the father put another 20 in her cup. Maya tried to refuse it, saying he'd already been generous yesterday, but he insisted. Talent like yours should be supported, he said simply. They came back on Wednesday, then Thursday. By Friday, Maya found herself looking forward to their visits. Lily would bring her drawings from school to show Maya, asking for advice. The father, whose name was David, would ask about her current project, offering genuine feedback. On Friday afternoon, after Lily had run ahead to look at a dog being walked nearby, David stayed behind. Can I ask you something? He said. Maya's stomach tightened. Here it comes, she thought. Whatever catch there was to this kindness. Why sidewalk? Art? Have you thought about getting studio space, selling in galleries? Maya almost laughed. Studio space costs money. Gallery representation requires connections I don't have. This, she gestured at the concrete, this is free. Mostly. What if it wasn't? What if you had a space? Then I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing now, just indoors and without worrying about rain. David nodded slowly, like he was working through a problem in his head. I have a property, a small storefront about 6 blocks from here. It's been empty for 8 months. I keep meaning to rent it out but haven't found the right tenant. Maya didn't understand where this was going. What if you used it, David said. As a studio, a place to work, maybe display some pieces. I can't afford rent on a storefront, Maya said quickly. The last thing she needed was to get her hopes up about something impossible. I'm not asking you to. Not regular rent anyway. He paused. My daughter loves art, but her school's program is pretty basic. What if you taught her, twice a week, proper lessons, in exchange for using the space? Maya stared at him. You're not serious. Completely serious. You don't even know me. I could be anyone. You're someone who takes time to encourage a little girl's dreams even though you're struggling yourself. That tells me everything I need to know. He pulled out a business card. Think about it, no pressure, but the offer's genuine. He walked away to catch up with Lily, leaving Maya holding the card. David Chen, architect, a phone number, an address. Maya looked down at her drawing, then at the card, then at David and Lily disappearing into the crowd. Her hands were shaking. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. There had to be a catch. There was always a catch. But what if there wasn't? What if someone really was offering her a chance, expecting nothing but art lessons for a sweet kid in return? Maya tucked the card carefully into her backpack. She'd think about it. Maybe. Probably. She'd definitely think about it. Maya stared at David's business card for 3 days before doing anything about it. She kept it in her pocket, pulling it out during quiet moments, reading the simple text over and over. David Chen, architect. A phone number that could change everything or lead to nothing. Rachel noticed her distraction. What's going on with you? You've been weird all week. Maya told her about David's offer, about the storefront, the art lessons, the impossible kindness of it all. So call him, Rachel said like it was the most obvious thing in the world. What if it's some kind of scam? What kind of scam involves giving you free studio space? Think about it. Worst case, you meet him at this storefront, it's sketchy, and you walk away. What if I'm not good enough to teach his daughter? What if I mess it up and disappoint them? Rachel put down her coffee. Maya, you taught me how to draw, remember? When we were roommates freshman year and I needed to pass that intro art class, you're a great teacher. That was different. How? Maya couldn't explain it. The fear wasn't logical. It was deeper than that. When you'd lost everything once, the idea of having something good felt dangerous, like the universe was setting her up for an even bigger fall. But Rachel was right. She had to at least try. Maya called the number on Thursday morning. Her hands shook as she dialed. This is David, he answered on the second ring. Hi, this is Maya. The sidewalk artist? We met last week and you gave me your card, and I know it's been a few days, but I wanted to. Maya, hi, I'm so glad you called. His voice was warm, genuine. Have you thought about my offer? I have. A lot, actually. And I want to say yes, but I need to see the space first. And maybe we should talk about what you're expecting from the art lessons because I've never formally taught anyone before, and I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. That's completely fair. Are you free this afternoon? I can meet you there around 4. The address he gave her was in a decent neighborhood, not too far from where she usually worked. Maya spent the rest of the day anxious, barely able to focus on her drawing. She kept imagining worst-case scenarios. The space would be a dump. David would have strange conditions. The whole thing would fall apart. At 3:45, she packed up early and walked to the address. The storefront was on a quiet street corner, wedged between a bookstore and a coffee shop. The windows were dusty, but through them Maya could see an empty space with good natural light. David arrived right at 4, Lily bouncing beside him. Maya! Lily ran up and hugged her legs. Daddy said you might come teach me art. Maybe, Maya said, her heart squeezing. We'll see. David unlocked the door and they stepped inside. The space was bigger than Maya expected. Dusty, yes, and completely empty. But the hardwood floors were solid, and those big windows faced east, which meant morning light. I know it needs work, David said. But the bones are good. There's a small bathroom in the back, and the previous tenant left some shelving units in the storage room. Maya walked through slowly, her artist's eye seeing possibilities. One wall for displaying finished pieces. The corner near the window for working, space for students if she ever wanted to teach more than just Lily. What was here before? She asked. A vintage clothing store. They moved to a bigger location downtown. Maya ran her hand along the wall. No water damage, no cracks. And you want me to use this for teaching Lily twice a week? I was thinking you could use it as your studio full-time, David said. The lessons with Lily would be twice a week, an hour each time, but the rest of the time, the space is yours. Work on your art. Display pieces if you want, whatever you need. I don't understand why you're doing this. David was quiet for a moment. Can I be honest with you? Please. I used to love architecture. I mean, really love it. I dreamed about designing buildings that would make people feel something, spaces that would bring communities together. Then life happened. Marriage, mortgage, a kid, responsibilities. I started taking whatever projects paid the best instead of the ones that meant something. I forgot why I fell in love with creating things in the first place. He looked at Lily, who was spinning in the empty space, her arms spread wide. Then we met you, and watching you create something beautiful on a sidewalk, knowing it'll wash away but doing it anyway because you have to, because it's who you are. It reminded me of something important. Something I'd lost. Maya felt tears threatening. She blinked them back. This storefront has been sitting empty for months, David continued. I keep telling myself I'll find the right tenant, but the truth is, I haven't even tried. Maybe I was waiting for the right reason to use it. And teaching Lily. Really teaching her, not just the basics she gets at school that's worth more to me than whatever rent I could charge. What if I fail? What if I'm not good at teaching? What if you're great at it? He smiled. Look, we'll try it for a month. If it's not working, if you hate it or Lily isn't learning anything, we'll call it off. No hard feelings. Maya looked around the space again. Sunlight was streaming through those dirty windows, catching dust particles in the air. She could already imagine where she'd set up her workspace, how she'd organize her supplies, what she could create here without worrying about rain or city warnings or people stepping on her work. Okay, she said quietly. Let's try it. Lily squealed and jumped up and down. Really, really, really? Really, really, Maya said, and she was smiling now too, despite her fears. David handed her a key. An actual key. It's yours. Move in whenever you're ready. Maya closed her fist around the key, feeling the weight of it. Such a small object, but it felt like the world. The next morning, she showed up at 6 with her backpack and a borrowed broom from Rachel. The space looked even grimier in the early light, but Maya didn't care. She spent the entire day cleaning, sweeping, wiping down windows, scrubbing the bathroom. Her arms ached and her back hurt, but it was a different kind of pain than sleeping on Rachel's couch. This was the pain of building something. David stopped by around noon with sandwiches and cleaning supplies. Thought you might need these. They ate sitting on the floor, and David told her about his architecture projects while Maya shared her ideas for organizing the space. It felt easy, natural, like talking to an old friend instead of someone she'd just met. My wife wants to meet you, David said. Her name's Jennifer. She works in marketing, and she's been bugging me about introducing you two. I think she wants to help somehow. Help how? I'm not sure. But Jennifer's good at making things happen. If you're open to it, maybe we could all have dinner sometime. Maya hesitated. Meeting more people meant more chances for this to fall apart. But David had been nothing but kind. Sure, that would be nice. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya transformed the storefront. She brought in a folding table she found on the curb. Rachel donated an old chair. The bookstore next door gave her some wooden crates for storage. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She started Lily's lessons on a Tuesday afternoon. The girl showed up with a brand new art supply kit, her face glowing with excitement. Daddy said we should get you supplies too, Lily said, pulling out a second kit. Because your chalks looked really old. Maya's throat tightened. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to, David said from the doorway. Consider it a teaching supply budget. That first lesson was messy and wonderful. Lily had enthusiasm but little technique, and Maya discovered she actually enjoyed breaking things down into simple steps. Teaching forced her to think about why she made certain choices, to articulate instincts she'd never put into words before. After Lily left, Maya sat in her studio, the word still feeling strange and wonderful in her mind. Her studio. She looked at the walls she'd cleaned, the space she'd organized, the new supplies on her table. For the first time in 2 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Real, fragile, terrifying hope that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. 3 months into using the studio, Maya sold her first painting. It wasn't planned. A woman had walked past the storefront, stopped, and stared through the window at a piece Maya had hanging on the wall. A sunset over city buildings done in acrylics. The woman came inside and asked the price. Maya, caught completely off guard, mumbled a number that seemed absurdly high. $200. The woman didn't even blink. "I'll take it." Maya stood there stunned as the woman pulled out her credit card. "Do you take cards?" I only have cash right now." "There's an ATM around the corner. I'll be right back." She came back with the cash, and Maya carefully wrapped the painting in old newspapers, her hands trembling. $200. That was more than she used to make in a week on the sidewalk. After the woman left, Maya sat down on the floor and cried. "Happy tears this time?" Word started spreading slowly. The bookstore owner next door mentioned Maya's studio to customers. Someone posted a photo of her work on social media, and a local art blogger shared it. People began stopping by, curious about the sidewalk artist who got her own gallery. Jennifer, David's wife, finally came to visit on a Saturday morning. She was tall, confident, dressed in casual clothes that somehow still looked expensive. Maya felt immediately self-conscious in her paint-stained jeans. "So you're the famous Maya," Jennifer said, extending her hand. "David and Lily talk about you constantly." I was starting to get jealous. Maya laughed nervously. "They've been really kind to me." Jennifer walked around the studio, examining each piece carefully. She didn't just glance like most visitors. She really looked. "These are incredible. You have a genuine talent. But can I be blunt with you?" "Sure," Maya said, though she wasn't sure at all. "You're underselling yourself. That piece by the window, you could easily get $500 for it. Maybe more. $500? Nobody's going to pay that. The right people will. You just need to reach them." Jennifer pulled out her phone. "Do you have social media for your art?" "I have a personal account, but I barely use it. We need to change that." "Look, I work in marketing. Let me help you build a presence. Professional photos of your work, a consistent posting schedule, maybe a website eventually." Maya felt overwhelmed. "I can't afford to pay you. I'm not asking you to. Consider it a favor. David told me about what you went through, and honestly, I admire what you're doing. You could have given up, but you didn't. That's worth supporting." Over the next few weeks, Jennifer became a regular presence in the studio. She taught Maya about Instagram, about lighting and composition for photos, about telling the story behind each piece. She brought in a photographer friend who took professional shots of Maya's work. The response was immediate. Followers started growing. People commented, shared, asked about purchasing pieces. Maya found herself staying up late, responding to messages, packaging paintings for shipping, creating new work to keep up with sudden demand. Lily's lessons continued twice a week, and the girl was improving rapidly. She had talent, real talent, and Maya felt proud watching her grow. Sometimes Lily brought friends from school, and Maya would end up teaching 3 or 4 kids at once. She discovered she loved it, the way their faces lit up when they figured out a new technique. "You should do this more," David said one evening, watching Maya work with a small group of children. "Teach classes. You're a natural." "I don't have a teaching certificate or anything official. So, this isn't a formal school. It's an art studio. Plenty of artists teach workshops without credentials." Maya thought about it. She thought about the kids in her old neighborhood, the ones who couldn't afford art classes. The ones like her who had talent but no opportunity. "What if I offered free classes?" she said. "For kids who can't pay?" David smiled. "I think that would be amazing." Maya started offering free Saturday workshops. She posted about it online, and the response surprised her. Parents showed up with kids from all over the neighborhood. Some could afford to pay, so Maya set up a sliding scale. Those who could contribute did. Those who couldn't came anyway. The studio became loud and messy and wonderful on Saturday mornings. Paint-covered kids, nervous teenagers learning to sketch, parents watching proudly from the doorway. Maya had to set up extra folding tables and buy supplies in bulk. Jennifer helped her apply for a small grant from a local arts foundation. They got it. $5,000 for supplies and community programming. Maya moved out of Rachel's apartment and into a tiny studio of her own. It wasn't fancy, but it had a real bed and a kitchen, and it was hers. She took Rachel out to dinner to celebrate and to thank her for everything. "You did this yourself," Rachel said. "I just gave you a couch. You gave me hope when I had nothing. That's worth more than a couch." 6 months after taking over the storefront, Maya had her first real exhibition, not just pieces on the wall, but an actual event. Jennifer helped organize it, spreading the word through her marketing connections. David designed simple but elegant display pedestals using scrap wood. Lily made invitations by hand for all her friends and teachers. The opening night was terrifying. Maya wore a dress Rachel lent her and spent the first hour convinced nobody would show up. Then people started arriving. Neighbors, fellow artists, some of the parents from her Saturday classes, the art blogger who'd first shared her work, a reporter from the local paper. People bought paintings, not just 1 or 2, but 7 pieces sold that night. Maya kept having to put little red dots next to the price tags, marking them as sold. She felt like she was floating. David found her near the end of the night, standing in the corner watching everyone mingle and enjoy the art. Her art. "You okay?" he asked. "I don't know. This doesn't feel real." "It's real. You earned this." Maya looked at him, this man who'd stopped on a sidewalk one random Tuesday because his daughter wanted to watch an artist work. "Why did you really help me?" "The truth." David was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, seeing you on that sidewalk, creating something beautiful despite everything working against you, it woke something up in me. I realized I'd become someone I didn't want to be. Someone who was playing it safe, who'd stopped taking risks, who'd forgotten why creativity mattered." He gestured around the room. "You reminded me, and these past few months being part of your journey, it's changed how I think about my own work. I'm taking on different projects now, designing community spaces instead of just whatever pays best. It's scary, but it feels right again." "So I helped you too?" Maya said. "More than you know." Jennifer appeared with Lily, who was holding a cup of juice and had paint on her nose. "Can I show everyone my painting next time?" Lily asked. "Definitely," Maya said. "We'll have a student showcase." After everyone left and Maya was locking up, she stood outside the studio for a moment. The sign above the door said, "Maya's Studio," in simple letters. David had surprised her with it last month. She thought about the girl who used to draw on sidewalks, afraid and alone and certain nothing would ever get better. That girl was still inside her somewhere, still scared, still worried it could all disappear. But she was learning to believe. Believing that good people existed. That kindness was real. That talent and hard work and a little bit of help could actually change your life. She locked the door and headed home, already thinking about tomorrow's classes and next month's work and all the possibilities stretching out ahead of her. For the first time in years, the future didn't look dark. It looked like a blank canvas ready for whatever she wanted to create. Maya was teaching a Saturday morning class when David walked in looking stressed. It was unusual. He was always calm, collected, the kind of person who had everything figured out. But today his shoulders were tight and his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Can we talk after class?" he asked quietly. Maya's stomach dropped. This was it. Whatever good thing she'd built was about to crumble. She'd known it couldn't last. Nothing good ever did. She somehow made it through the rest of the lesson, though her mind was elsewhere. The kids noticed. One of them asked if she was okay. She lied and said she was fine. After the students left and she'd cleaned up, David came back. He sat down heavily on one of the folding chairs. "I got an offer on the building," he said. Maya felt her world tilt. "Oh. A developer wants to buy it. The whole building, not just your unit. They're offering way more than it's worth. More than I could turn down without being financially irresponsible." "I understand," Maya said, even though she didn't. Even though she wanted to scream. "When do I need to be out?" "That's the thing. I haven't accepted yet." David ran his hand through his hair. "I've been thinking about it all week. Jennifer thinks I'm crazy for hesitating. It's a lot of money. We could finally pay off our mortgage, set up Lily's college fund properly." "Then you should take it," Maya said, forcing the words out. "You've already done so much for me. I'll figure something out." David looked at her. "Would you hate me if I sold?" "I could never hate you. You changed my life. That's what makes this so hard." He stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the street. "A year ago, I would have taken this offer immediately. Good investment, good timing, pure business decision. But now, He trailed off. Maya waited, her heart pounding. I keep thinking about what this place has become, David continued. Not just for you, but for the community. Those kids who come here every Saturday. Some of them have never touched art supplies before. And you're not just surviving anymore. You're thriving. You're helping other people thrive. But your family needs to come first, Maya said. That's okay. That's how it should be. David turned around. What if we could do both? What if there was a way to keep this going and make the financial thing work? I don't understand. I've been running numbers all week. What if we bought the building together? Well, not together exactly. What if we turned it into something bigger? A community art center. Your studio would be the anchor, but we could add more spaces. Studios for other artists, a community gallery, proper classrooms. Maya's mind was racing. I don't have money to invest in a building. You have something better. You have vision, commitment, and a track record. We could apply for grants, community development funds, nonprofit status. I could contribute the building as seed capital. Jennifer knows people in the nonprofit world. And your success story. A struggling artist who built something meaningful. That's the kind of narrative that attracts funding. This sounds impossible. Most good things do at first. David smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Look, I'm not saying it'll be easy. We'd need to write proposals, deal with paperwork, probably spend months jumping through hoops. But I think we could make it work. Maya sat down, her legs suddenly weak. Why would you do this? You could just take the money. Because I'm tired of just taking money. I want to build something that matters. Something Lily can be proud of when she grows up. He sat down across from her. You taught me that. You and your sidewalk chalk and your refusal to give up on what you loved. I forgot what that felt like, caring about something beyond the practical. I need to think about it, Maya said. Of course. Take your time. But Maya didn't need much time. She knew her answer. She was terrified, but she knew. Over the next 3 months, they worked on the proposal. David handled the architectural plans and budget projections. Jennifer created marketing materials and connected them with foundation directors. Maya wrote the mission statement and program descriptions, drawing from her experience with the Saturday classes. They called it the Community Canvas Arts Center. The name was Lily's idea. The applications for grants and nonprofit status were brutal. Endless forms, financial statements, letters of recommendation, proof of community need. Maya had nightmares about being rejected, about the whole thing falling apart. But slowly, pieces fell into place. A local foundation committed $50,000 for programming. The city agreed to fast-track their nonprofit paperwork. A story about their project appeared in the newspaper, and donations started coming in from people they'd never met. The developer who'd wanted to buy the building wasn't happy, but they eventually moved on to another property. 9 months after David first mentioned the idea, they had their grand opening. They'd renovated the entire building. Maya's studio stayed, but got upgraded with better lighting and more space. 2 other artists moved into studios on the 2nd floor, paying reduced rent that would help fund the free programs. They'd built a real classroom that could fit 20 students. The community gallery took up the entire back section. The opening day was bigger than Maya's exhibition had been. Local politicians showed up. The newspaper sent a photographer, but what mattered most to Maya were the faces in the crowd. Her Saturday morning students with their families. The other artists who were just starting out, looking at the space with hungry, hopeful eyes. Kids from the neighborhood who'd never had access to art programs before. David gave a speech. He talked about second chances and community and believing in people. He got choked up when he mentioned how meeting Maya had changed his perspective on success. Then it was Maya's turn to speak. She stood in front of the microphone, looking at all these people, and thought about the girl she used to be. The one sleeping on a couch, drawing on sidewalks, certain she'd never have anything better. 2 years ago, I was drawing on concrete with broken chalk, she began. I thought that was all I'd ever have. Then a little girl and her father stopped to watch, and they saw something in my work that I'd stopped seeing in myself. She found David and Lily in the crowd. Lily waved. This place exists because someone chose kindness. Because someone saw a struggling person and decided to help instead of walking past. We want to be that for other people. For every artist who thinks they'll never get a chance. For every kid who believes creativity is a luxury they can't afford. Her voice steadied. This isn't just an arts center. It's proof that one act of compassion can change everything. That helping one person can ripple out into helping hundreds. That's what we're building here. The applause was overwhelming. After the speeches, Maya walked through the building, watching people explore the spaces. She stopped in the main classroom where a group of teenagers were already sketching. One girl sat in the back corner, quiet, nervous, clearly uncomfortable. She reminded Maya of someone, of herself actually. The girl was drawing in a worn notebook, glancing up occasionally like she wasn't sure she belonged. Maya walked over and sat down next to her. I love your line work. How long have you been drawing? The girl shrugged. I don't know. Forever, I guess. I'm not very good, can I tell you something? I used to say the same thing. Right up until someone told me I was wrong, that I just needed a chance to grow. Yeah? The girl looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. Yeah. Maya smiled. What's your name? Riley. Well, Riley, we have classes starting next week. Different levels, different styles. All free, you should come. Really? I don't have to pay, really. Someone gave me a chance when I needed it most. Now it's my turn to do the same. Riley's face transformed, the wariness replaced by genuine excitement. I'll be here. I promise. As Riley went back to her drawing, Maya stood and looked around the room. The afternoon sun was streaming through the windows, lighting up the faces of young artists discovering what they could create. This was it. This was what mattered, not the building or the grants or even her own success. It was this. The moment when someone who felt invisible realized they had something valuable to offer the world. David appeared in the doorway with Lily. Pretty amazing, isn't it? He said. It's everything, Maya replied. Lily tugged on Maya's sleeve. When I grow up, I want to do what you do. Help people and make art. Maya knelt down to Lily's level. You know what? I think you will. You've got the most important thing already. What's that? A big heart. That's where all good things start. As the opening celebration continued around them, Maya felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Not just hope or gratitude, though she felt those too. It was something deeper. Purpose. The knowledge that her struggle had meaning. That her pain had led somewhere worth going. She thought about the sidewalks where she used to work. The concrete that became her canvas when she had nothing else. That version of herself felt both distant and present. Like a reminder of how far she'd come and why it mattered. Because everyone deserved a chance. Everyone deserved to have someone stop and see them, really see them, and offer a hand up instead of walking past. That's what David had given her. And now, standing in this building full of artists and dreamers and kids who needed to know they mattered, Maya understood that the gift wasn't just for her to receive. It was for her to keep giving, over and over to anyone who needed it, and she would. For as long as she could, she would.